So recall that when we started Excel, we explained the concept of cell and references. I explained to us that if we have an information, if we have a value here, let's say 15, if I want to know the position of this value, let me make it bold and make it bold so you see what we're talking. If I want to find where this value is on Excel, Excel gave us what we call referencing. And how do we reference this value? We reference it by the column, and row. Now let me give it a column and the row. All right. So this is where we are. The point where they meet is the reference. If I come in here, you know the way we do function. If I come here and say equal to, what's the column name? What's the column name of this?
K.
K. And what's the row name?
6.
6. And I enter key, gives us 15. Anywhere you go and mention that reference or reference that the particular reference the value, just whatever that is there, the column and the row, it will give you that value. Anywhere you go, it will give you that value. And that's what we call referencing. That's what we call reference. If I also come here, this is G. If I come here and say equal to G11, to still give us this. But remember, this is dependent on this. This one, let me give it another color, is dependent on this. So in other words, if I change the value here to 18, everywhere we reference it will change to 18. Does that make sense? If I change it to 30, anywhere we have 18, anywhere we reference this, cell, K6, we change to 30. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, I need us to be responding. If you have any question, ask on time. Ask early so that we resolve it. All right, so we are good here. I'll just remove this and this. I just need to end it here. 0. And all right. So with that concept in mind, let's talk about two types of referencing in Excel. We call that relative referencing and absolute referencing. So let's talk about this. So a relative reference is the way Excel references the previous action or function it has. So relative reference is the way Excel references the previous function or action it performed. Now let's look at it from this perspective. I like doing, this definition is not going to help. Let's do something here. So we have here total tax. All right, so let me bring this here. I want to move this here. Okay, so what I would do is, for us not to waste time, I'll just move this here. This here. Then move this backwards. All right, that makes sense. So let's look for the total cost. Here we have the we have item column, quantity, individual cost, and total cost. Then we have sales tax. We also have here sales tax, the percentage of the sales tax. For every sale that happens, we know what we'll talk about value added tax. For every sale that happens, how much do we need to take away from it as tax? That's 10%. So let's calculate here. Total tax will be quantity times individual costs. Do we agree with the calculation?
Logical.
We are recording
Yes.
this and this is going on. This is going online. This is going on YouTube. Remember. All right. So we are good with this. So all we need to do is we'll start with the equal to. Click here. When I could just type in the B2. That's the reference of this. But if instead of typing it, I'll just click it, and that's the best way to do it. So I'll click on it, and it picked it B2. And then the times it's the asterisk, which you can get with on your keyboard, Shift 8. You will get it asterisk. And then I will multiply it with C2. Instead of typing it, I'll just click on it and it gives me C2. So now when I click enter key, I get the answer. And what did they give us? 5 times 4,512. It gave us this. Let us give this. Where do we have here? Let's give it currency. Let's give it the accounting type. You know how we do it. So all right. So now that makes sense. So this is the amount we have this times this. Now, when we talk about relative referencing, what will happen is if I click here, the way we used to click and drag down, if I click and drag down, it will perform what we call relative referencing. So it will, for every stage, for every next level calculation, it will take note of what was the first. All right, so for this calculation, what it will do is, let me enable my formula bar. Good. So what it will do is it will take note of what was the previous one, B2 times C2. It will say if B2 times C2 gave us this, then what should give us this will be B3 times C3. So look at it. B2 times C2 gave us this. The next reference will be B3 and C3. Again, the next reference will be C4, B4, and C4. And that's what we call relative reference. It will reference it relative to what was the previous position. B2, B2, C2. The next one will be B3, C3. And in that order, we come to the end. And imagine if we have, let me undo this. Imagine we have so many records, like 1 million records, and you can imagine if you try to drag it down, it will become difficult to go down. So to do that, when we type this, multiply by this, you hold your control, instead of just saying enter, you hold your control key and click enter. All right, so why did you not give me that? Enter. I'm not sure why it didn't give us that, but we'll investigate it later. All right, so another way to go that is just double click here and then it will bring it down. The other method I wanted to explain to you, it's more like using the author key.
Sorry, Kingsley, where did you double click to get this one?
Here, see here that
on the side, the cross sign.
Notice how the cross sign changes to the lighter one.
Okay.
See, to change. Can you see?
Okay.
Whenever I change to this lighter one, you can drag it to this point and it will give you the answer. Or instead of dragging it, imagine there are two.
Okay.
All you need to do is to double click it. And then it will give you, it will take it down.
All right. Thank you.
So, and this is self-referencing. This is relative referencing. Now, let's look at absolute referencing, because this will make more sense now with absolute referencing. Let's make this bold so that you understand what we're doing. Let's look at absolute referencing. So the tax here is sales tax. We say the sales tax will be the cost, the total cost multiplied by the percentage. Does that make sense? When you multiply this with this, it will tell you how much you need to deduct as sales tax. Is this clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's do it equal to, I'll pick this, multiply by this. Notice this. I pick this, multiply by this, and enter. So it's telling us that 10% of this is 2,256 pounds. That is what the sales tax will be for this particular one. Do we have any question with that? So in other words, when you're done with your sale, for every
Sorry,
sale,
I didn't get the formula.
it's just multiplication. See the formula up here. 2 times
Okay.
I1. I1 is just, all right, so let me redo it. Equal to total cost times, this is the percentage.
Okay.
Times the percentage. That is I1. Enter.
Okay.
Any question there, guys?
It's clear.
Okay, so now watch what happened. I'm going to double click here. You know how we do it, double click for it to flow down. Watch what happens. So you see, nothing flowed down. Why? Let us see the formula that made it difficult for us to have nothing down there. So this formula says D2, which is D2 here, times I1. Because of relative referencing, what it is expecting is D3, which is this, times I2. It's expecting something here under this 10%, but it didn't see anything. Again, D4 times I3. It's expecting something, but it didn't see anything. That's why there is nothing here. And that's how relative referencing.
Okay.
So that's how relative referencing works. Excel is looking at it and, okay, it's fine. If the first line multiply with the other line, the next multiplication will just keep flowing down. But that's not how it is here, because what we want to do is absolute referencing. So for us to do absolute referencing, we will say, okay, we don't want you to scroll down. We don't want you to look down. And looking down means row. Looking down means row. And row is just the number. So we want you to fix the number. Don't look down. Don't scroll down. Just for every multiplication, keep using this 10%. That's what we want you to do. So in this, what we need to do, we go to this formula here. So in this formula, remember that I represents column, 1 represents row. You remember that?
Yes.
All you need to do to ensure that it does not flow down, which is going down on the row direction, going down the row, you just put $sign. When you put this $sign, Excel will look at it and say, okay, you don't want me to scroll down. You want me to stay here and keep multiplying. Keep using this 10 to multiply for every instance of the. So keep using this 10 to multiply this. Use this 10% to also multiply to D3 up to the D5. So after typing this, I'll come here and say, okay. So here we go. All I need to do is to come here and scroll down. Then here we go. So you can see that this, it still maintains the X1, the I1. You go there again, it still maintain the I1. Again, it still maintain the I1. Because you have told Excel that fix this cell. Don't go anywhere. Don't go down. It actually means you can actually go sideways. But for now, we're handling the part of don't go down. And that's why we put this. That's why we put this. This.
So now the only difference now is just the $sign that is there. Is that what you mean?
Yes, and that $sign means don't, because it is on the row side of the reference, it means don't go down, don't reference it down, just fix it here. And that what we call absolute. Like absolute, stay there, don't change.
I'm not getting that.
You say?
I'm not getting that. Please, can you repeat again? Like, don't go down like how? Because I think you wanted to reference the 10% so that it can calculate
Yes.
the 10% for the remaining ones now.
Yes. So what Excel would have done, let me go back again. So what Excel would have done, which is relative reference, is this is D2, which is this and this, multiplied by I1. The next thing Excel would have done without any fixing, without like by default, Excel does relative reference. Excel will go down. When you go to the next calculation, Excel will say, if this first calculation is D2 times I1, then the next one
one.
is D3 times I2.
Yeah.
But when Excel tried to multiply that, it did not see anything. It saw something on D3, but did not see anything on I2.
Second on I2.
Yes. And it also it saw something on D4, but nothing on I3. That way. And this is what we call relative referencing. But what we are looking for is, because we want only 10% of each of these amounts, we don't want Excel to go down. We want it to only use this to multiply. Use this to multiply this. Use this to multiply this. Use this to multiply this.
The rest of it.
Don't change this position, but keep changing this other one. Is it clear?
Yeah, it's clear.
Because you don't want it to change this 10 on the row, down the row. Down the row means I. So I means, so I is a column, 1 is a row. Is a column, 1 is a row. And that's what we have. So I'm going to take away this one. Good. So we have that. I is a column, 1 is a row. That's the reference for this. But what we want it, if we want it to, we don't want it to go down, we want it to stay there. Because 1 is the row, we will come here before 1, we'll put $sign. Because we don't want it to go down, to calculate, to after using 10%, we don't want it to go down and start looking for the next row. We want it to only stay here. For every calculation here, we want it to only stay here. So we put this $sign in front of 1 or behind 1, so that it will fix the row side. And when we fix it there, say we click on this sign and then it does this. So when I double click here, it does that calculation. So for every movement, it will not move. It will stay here, but it will move for every of these, because I didn't. Why is it moving for this other one? The reason it's moving here is because I did not put any sign. There's no $sign in any of the D3. In any of this column, there's no $sign. And that's what we call absolute reference. Keep on using a particular number until you're done with the calculation. That's what we call absolute reference. Any question on that?
Yeah, it's clear now.
Everybody, do we have any question?
It's clear enough.
I don't know.
So, are you ready to practice it? So first, let's handle our discount. We have a 1% discount, and discount will be applied on the total cost. So the total cost is this. Our discount is a fixed row. So let's handle it. So this multiplied by the discount. And because it is the row, we fix the row. And there we go. So
Kingsley,
yes, please.
is that not too much to be a discount? I thought you would divide by 100 because it's percentage.
What
Yeah, so when you multiply, it's already 81%. This is what, so this is, if we say 81%, we are giving out 81%. This is not going to be the sales. We are giving out 81%, which is this. And if we bring it down, this is what we're giving out for each of them. So now if you want to talk about the
you're going to subtract this thing from the main cost now.
So for you to get what the total cost would be this minus this.
Minus this, yeah. I did it together in the cell.
So that's how to get what the main cost would be when you remove the.
Oh, when did they teach maths? Where are they?
So now for us to find the updated VAT, the VAT will be equal to this minus this. Because we're minusing this minus this, and then we are multiplying it by the VAT, I would like to put this in brackets. I'm sure I have told you guys about brackets. Multiply whatever it gives us, multiply it by the VAT. VAT is 15%. And remember, we're going to put the VAT in. We're going to fix the VAT. And here we go. So this is going to be the VAT. And then we'll bring it down here. This is going to be VAT for each of them. Now, what's going to be the new sales? The new net sales would then be total cost minus the discount. What was the net? Our natural net, and then minus the VAT.
Minus VAT.
Excellent. So total cost minus discounted amount minus the VAT. These are our updated VAT. And we're not fixing anything here. That's because we're scrolling down, and then this will be the net sales.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, amazing.
Amazing.
Even though na long route I take, but I still I reach the bus stop.
Anyways, when I
You
win.
should I reach your bus stop?
Anyways, when
Yeah.
I win.
Me, I no get am. I do it wrong. Okay.
No, that VAT won't confuse me. Discount won't confuse me first.
See, the mathematicians don't come outside. Actually, I don't laugh because now I field. If I go interview, answer this one,
People are
unfortunately.
the buy things on discount steady now.